Hello?
Hi, George.
I'm playing Batman.
That's cool. Do you want to come over today?
I'm playing Batman.
My parents aren't home.
Neither are Batman's parents.
Rocksteady's Arkham series has constantly defined expectations since Arkham Asylum was released in 2009. Nobody believed a game based on a licensed title would ever be good because let's face it, they never are. And once we played it, we got to experience, at the time, the best superhero game ever. When its sequel Arkham City was released in 2011, it was so polished, was treated with so much care, it's now known as one of the best games of the last generation. So with that immense amount of hype behind it, we have the game that ends the trilogy, Arkham Knight. While there are some flaws, Arkham Knight is the perfect way to end what is now known as one of the best trilogies in modern video games. Taking place a year after Arkham City, Gotham City has had no crime, so that's pretty good. But on Halloween night, Scarecrow comes in and unleashes his new fear gas that's pretty frightening. Forcing everyone to evacuate the city, Gotham is now filled with criminals and series famous villains. It is now up to you, Batman, to rid Gotham of evil and take down Scarecrow, as well as protecting those closest to you. And then there's the Arkham Knight, which is the name of the game, who wants to pursue his revenge by killing you. And just in case he can't do it, he's got an entire billion-dollar army to back him up. So let's get this out of the way. Much of the hype for the game was built around the mystery of who the Arkham Knight is. While they kept their lips shut about the Arkham Knight's identity before the game's release, the second they introduced the character, almost every Batman fan figured out who it was. What the Arkham Knight says only makes sense for a handful of characters, plus they reference this character way more than they should have. And it doesn't help that they happen to pick one of the most relevant and famous voice actors to play the character. This all sucks even more because I didn't even like the character. While his suit is incredibly badass, I never found the Arkham Knight intimidating, just annoying and snarky. Anyways, back to the story. The plot isn't as complex as its predecessor, but it was enjoyable to experience. Especially near the second half of the game, there were many twisted turns that really caught me off guard, and there were many moments that shook me to the core. And yes, this is most likely the last Arkham game we'll ever see, and yes, it's a perfect end to the series. When it comes to characters, I do have mixed feelings about everyone. First of all, the cast is incredible. Kevin Conroy as Batman, Nolan North as Penguin, Tara Strong as Harley Quinn, Troy Baker as 4 different characters, John Noble as incredible vision of Scarecrow, Dave Fennoy or Lee from The Walking Dead as Lucius Fox, Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad as Commissioner Gordon, and the cast is definitely top-notch, although I do have a problem with a couple characters besides the Arkham Knight. While the game has many characters that stand out, including my personal favorite villain in the Batman universe being Scarecrow, Batman is a bigger dick than he was previously in the series. He keeps secrets from his whole crew and treats them like shit. And with the amount of favors he asks of Alfred, it sounds like Alfred is working harder than Batman is. And the Riddler. He is the most annoying antagonist in my recent memory. He keeps on telling Batman over and over again how much smarter he is and how much Batman sucks. He was so annoying, in fact, I almost decided not to finish the main Riddler side quest. Besides these little gripes of mine, the game represented most of the characters very well. Rocksteady did a good job sticking with their source material, while simultaneously showing off their own Batman universe. While aesthetically the game is very similar to Arkham City, it's still an amazing looking game that runs absolutely perfectly. The lighting's great, the rain is incredible, facial animation is top-notch, and character animation in both traversal and combat are some of the best to be found in video games. What really seals Arkham Knight's presentation is in its polish. Both in terms of presentation and gameplay, Arkham Knight is the most polished game in recent memory. Cutscenes and gameplay blend seamlessly, animations blend naturally together, Batman's cape looks better than before, and everything interacts with each other in a non-gamey way. It's fluent, believable, and it makes the Arkham universe very immersive. And as much as I love the facial animation, I understand why they want to show it off. There were way too many moments where you're talking to your wrist and the game doesn't let you leave. And finally, the soundtrack in the game definitely fits the tone of Batman's dark journey, though it's not as memorable as its predecessor soundtrack. Gameplay-wise, Arkham Knight ultimately is a much more polished version of Arkham City, excluding the memorable boss fights. The big new mechanic that differentiates itself from the rest of the series is of course the inclusion of the Batmobile. Because of how satisfying and easy it is to freely roam Gotham through gliding, I was very skeptic prior to the game's release on whether or not the Batmobile was included just so Rocksteady could be like, "Look, we got the Batmobile!" It turns out that Batman's trusty steed was a wonderful inclusion. Not only do they make good use of it during the story, the Batmobile is one of the easiest and most satisfying vehicles I have ever driven in a video game. It looks awesome, drives like a dream, and it breaks up the gameplay, making a very familiar experience feel fresh again. What's not a welcome addition, however, is the Batmobile's battle mode, otherwise known as the Bat Tank. While holding the shoulder button, the Batmobile turns into a fully controllable tank that is used to destroy a bunch of drone tanks. Like the rest of the game, the Bat Tank's movement is polished and it does feel natural switching back and forth. Fighting the drones was a lot of fun, the first 10 times. After that, fighting drones turns into an incredibly boring and repetitive endeavor. But what could possibly be worse than fighting wave after wave of tanks in a Batman game? Here are two words that should never go together: tanks and stealth. I'm not kidding. There are actual sections in the game where you have to sneak up on tanks inside your own tank. I don't think I need to say how I feel about this. Like past games, Arkham Knight has some very well polished stealth sections. Stealth sections largely remain unchanged, but they're easier and more satisfying to complete because Rocksteady has never made it easier to control Batman. Just like if you're controlling Mario, for example, Batman feels like an extension of yourself. If you want to glide down and use a couple of grappling hooks to sneak up to someone and take them out, you could do that without stressing too much. If you want to fly down a shaft and take out an enemy through the grates in the floor, you could do that. Yes, you could do this in pretty much every other Arkham game, but because the controls are so naturally set up, whatever comes to your mind is so easy to execute in the game, which makes sneaking around and taking everyone out one of the best examples of stealth in a non-stealth oriented game. The Arkham series still has one of the most satisfying combat systems ever. Combat is much more refined and feels even more awesome just to punch the shit out of people. Not much has changed. I mean, you're still punching everyone, countering whenever you see flashy blue sparks come out of their heads, and every now and then you'll fight new enemies, so you have to change your fighting style accordingly. One of the new additions is the fear system, which lets you take out up to 3 guys at once in slow motion if you catch them off guard. This is useful when taking out multiple enemies in a stealth section, or to start off a battle against dozens of enemies. It works nicely and looks even better. Arguably the best new addition to combat is the buddy system. At certain points during the campaign, you'll fight alongside Catwoman, Robin, or even Nightwing. Once your combo meter makes it to a certain point, with the tap of a button, your partners assist in taking out one of the enemies, and then you continue to fight as them, switching to Batman whenever you please. Sure, it's more style over substance, but I wish there were more moments like this in the game to make battles feel a touch more epic. When you're not fighting enemies in the main story or gliding around the city or driving around the Batmobile, you're doing side quests. Woo! And it's highly recommended you do the side quests so you see the game's ending. Yes, even if you do all the main story missions, you still won't see the ending until you 100% the game, and that's including all of the Riddler trophies. While I did not like the scattered trophies throughout the game, especially the ones found inside story missions, the main Riddler parts we had to rescue Catwoman were a breath of fresh air. There are also some Batmobile Riddler racing parts where you have to be in control of the vehicle, as well as be in control of the obstacles you come across during the race. And the challenges where you have to switch between Batman and Catwoman were fun as well. Other interesting side missions include the murder investigations, messing around with Azrael, and the very scary creature that totally did not scare the shit out of me when I was playing. The rest of the side missions weren't that interesting though. They just felt like an excuse to have more fights or to add more of those stupid tank sections. They're not as varied or as entertaining as they were in Arkham City, and that's a real shame. Completing just the main story missions will take around 12 hours, while beating the entire game 100% to see the ending took me around 20 hours. Replay value consists of replaying the game on New Game Plus, which immediately makes it much harder, and then you have those AR challenges that don't have much value to them. The game will be supporting DLC throughout the next 6 months, so if you're willing to put down the extra money, you'll soon control other characters in the future like Batgirl. Batman Arkham Knight is a great end to one of gaming's best modern trilogies. It's also one of the most polished games I've played in recent memory. Although some inclusions like the disappointing mystery around the Arkham Knight, as well as some overused Bat-Take sanctions may dilute the overall experience, it's the best playing Batman game and superhero game ever made. Even if in the end, it's just refining what was already close to perfect. Batman Arkham Knight receives a 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and stay fresh, you guys.